Queen Syra of Caluria was known throughout the galaxy for her pride. She believed her people were the smartest, the strongest, and the most advanced in the universe. Her very presence made alien leaders nervous. Now, for the first time, she was visiting Earth, a planet most Calurians thought of as backward and strange. The human government wanted to make a good impression, so they picked their best team for her security. Among the guards was Eli, a young man who preferred silence over small talk. He had always been shy, even as a child, but he was careful and loyal, qualities his superiors trusted. The day Queen Syra landed on Earth, there was excitement everywhere. News cameras flashed as she stepped out of her shining silver spaceship, wearing robes that sparkled like the stars. Syra barely looked at the humans standing in welcome. She lifted her chin, eyes scanning the crowd with cool confidence. She didn't see Eli at first. He stood a little behind the other guards, blending in as much as possible. As the queen was shown around the human city, Eli followed quietly, watching her carefully. His job was to keep her safe, even if she never noticed him. Syra talked only to the top leaders, ignoring everyone else. When she passed Eli, she didn't even glance in his direction. But Eli noticed everything. He saw the way Syra frowned at the noise of the city, how she looked up at the old buildings with a mix of curiosity and judgment. He noticed she often paused to study street art, though she tried to hide her interest. At the official welcome dinner, Syra sat at the head of the table, speaking in flawless English, asking sharp questions about Earth's technology and history. She seemed bored, and sometimes even annoyed, when the answers didn't impress her. The other guards whispered about her arrogance, but Eli only listened. He wondered what life was like on her planet, and why she acted so cold. Later that evening, as the guests were leaving, a small problem occurred. A power surge cut off the lights for a few minutes. The room fell into darkness and confusion. The security team jumped into action. Eli's training kicked in. Calmly, he guided Queen Syra away from the crowd toward a safe, quiet corner, using a small flashlight. For a brief moment, it was just the two of them. Syra's eyes adjusted to the darkness, and she saw Eli clearly for the first time. He stood steady, not flustered or afraid. He simply asked, "Are you all right, Your Majesty?" Surprised by his calmness, Syra nodded. For the first time that day, she really looked at him. There was nothing remarkable about Eli's appearance. Brown hair, average height, gentle voice, but something about his steady manner caught her attention. The lights soon returned, and Syra was led away by her advisors. Eli faded back into the background, but now, the queen remembered his face. She wondered, just for a second, if humans might have more to offer than she thought. Queen Syra spent most of the next day inside her spaceship, busy with meetings and messages from her home planet. She did not think about Eli, the quiet human guard, but something about his calmness in the dark had stayed in her mind. That afternoon, Syra decided to take a short tour of the Earth spaceport. She wanted to see for herself how humans managed their ships. Her own guards followed, but according to the security plan, a few human guards were also assigned to her. Eli was among them. Inside the spaceport, everything was busy. Machines rolled by, workers shouted instructions, and screens blinked with numbers and maps. Syra walked ahead, her long robes trailing behind her. She stopped in front of a big window to look at the human cargo ships. Suddenly, a loud alarm sounded. The lights turned red, and doors started to close all around them. There was a system error in the spaceport. As a safety rule, special doors locked tight to stop accidents from spreading. In the confusion, Syra found herself separated from her guards. She looked around quickly. Everyone else was behind thick glass doors. Only Eli was with her, trapped in a small side chamber. For the first time, Queen Syra felt nervous. She was used to controlling every situation. But now, she was stuck on a strange planet, locked in with a human she hardly knew. Eli checked the door and the control panel. "It's just a safety lock, Your Majesty." "They'll fix it soon," he said softly. Zyra tried to look calm, but she felt a little helpless. She asked, "Do things break like this often on your planet?" Eli smiled, just a little. "Sometimes, but humans always find a way to fix things." There was a long silence. The queen stood tall, but Eli noticed her hands were tight by her side. He tried to make her feel better. "We can sit, if you like. It might take a few minutes," Eli said, pointing to a small bench against the wall. Zara hesitated, then sat down. For a while, they just listened to the quiet hum of machines outside the room. Eli didn't try to talk much, and Sarah was surprised by the comfort she felt in the silence. She glanced at Eli, who was watching the blinking lights on the door, his face patient. After a few minutes, Sarah broke the silence. "Why did you become a guard?" she asked. Eli thought for a moment before answering. "I like helping people. I'm not good at speeches or big actions, but I can watch, listen, and protect. Sometimes small things matter." Zara studied him, surprised by his honest answer. On her own world, everyone tried to look important, but Eli was humble. Soon, a voice came on the speaker, announcing that the system was fixed. The door slid open. Zara's guards rushed to her side, and Eli stepped back. But now, the queen looked at Eli differently. For the first time, she wondered if there was more to the shy human than she first believed. And as she walked away, she realized she wanted to know more. After the incident at the spaceport, Queen Syra began to notice Eli more often. She would catch herself looking for him among the guards during her visits. Sometimes she felt confused by this new feeling, but she kept her thoughts to herself. A queen could not afford to appear distracted, especially not by a human. Her own Kalurian staff started to whisper among themselves. They noticed the queen's eyes wandering during meetings. Some wondered if she was simply bored with Earth, while others worried she might be planning something secret. Only Xyra knew the real reason. She was curious about Eli and his quiet strength. The next day, Xyra was scheduled to attend a meeting with Earth's leaders about sharing technology. Her advisors filled her in on all the details, warning her that humans would try to impress her. Xyra nodded politely, but wasn't really listening. Her thoughts kept drifting back to the spaceport, remembering how calm Eli had been when the alarm sounded. As the meeting began, Xyra noticed Eli standing by the door, alert as always. This time, she gave him a small nod. Eli's eyes widened in surprise, but he quickly bowed his head. The other guards saw this and exchanged glances. No queen had ever paid so much attention to a guard before. After the meeting, Xyra was supposed to go straight back to her ship. Instead, she paused near the exit where Eli was standing. She asked him, "Do you walk outside the base, Eli?" Eli was nervous. He had never talked with a queen alone before, but he answered honestly, "Sometimes, Your Majesty. There's a small park behind the embassy. It's quiet." Xyra smiled. "Show me." Her advisors protested, saying it was not safe for her to walk outside without a bigger guard team. But Sarah insisted. Finally, they allowed Eli to walk with her, staying close by. In the park, the queen asked simple questions about Earth. Eli told her about the different trees and flowers, and about the small animals that lived there. He spoke quietly, but his words painted clear pictures. Xyra listened closely, truly interested. She found herself relaxing in the soft afternoon sun, breathing in the fresh earth air. Back at the embassy, the Kalurian staff were surprised by Xyra's mood. She seemed lighter, almost happy. This was strange for the usually serious queen. Rumors began to spread through the royal court. Some worried that the queen was spending too much time with a human. Others wondered if something was wrong with her. Eli, too, faced questions from the other guards. They joked with him and asked what it was like to talk to the alien queen. Eli only smiled, keeping his answers short. Later that night, Xyra looked out at the stars from her ship's window. She remembered her peaceful walk with Eli and wondered what her advisors would say if they knew how much she enjoyed it. For the first time in her life, the Queen of Caluria felt truly curious about another world, and one very unusual human. The next morning, Queen Syra sat at her desk in her spaceship, reading reports from her planet. She should have been focused on her duties, but her mind kept drifting back to her walk in the park with Eli. His simple words and honest answers were unlike anything she was used to. On Caluria, everyone tried to impress her with big speeches and complicated ideas. Eli, though, was different. He listened more than he spoke and never tried to act important. After breakfast, Syra made a decision. There was an important Calurian cultural event planned for that evening, a celebration of art, music, and history. Usually, only the highest Earth officials were invited. This time, she told her staff, "I want Guard Eli to join the celebration as my guest." Her advisors were shocked. They tried to hide their surprise, but Sarah saw the worry in their eyes. It was unheard of for a guard to attend such an event. Still, she stood firm. "He showed great courage during the spaceport problem," she said. "It is my wish." Eli received the invitation with trembling hands. He had never been to a royal celebration before. Unsure what to wear, he chose his cleanest uniform and made sure his shoes were polished. The other guards wished him luck, some with smiles, others with jealousy in their eyes. The celebration took place in a grand hall decorated with glowing crystals and colorful banners. Calurian musicians played soft, strange music, and holographic art danced in the air. Human guests looked around in wonder. Zyra stood near the center of the room, surrounded by her court. When Eli entered, she noticed him immediately. She gave him a welcoming nod and invited him to stand beside her. Some of the Calurian nobles whispered among themselves, clearly surprised by her choice. During the evening, Syra introduced Eli to different Calurian customs. She showed him how to greet using a light touch on the wrist and explained the meaning of a floating sculpture in the middle of the room. Eli listened carefully and asked polite questions. He was genuinely interested, and Sarah enjoyed sharing her culture with someone so eager to learn. Other guests began to notice the Queen's special attention to Eli. Some were curious, while others seemed disapproving. Still, Syra did not care. For the first time in a long while, she felt free to be herself. Later, as the music changed, Syra invited Eli to join a traditional Calurian group dance. At first, Eli was shy and moved awkwardly, but Sarah smiled and guided him. Her encouragement made him laugh, and soon he relaxed, enjoying the strange new experience. By the end of the night, Eli's honest questions and gentle humor had even charmed some of the Calurian guests. Syra felt proud of her decision. As the celebration ended, she walked Eli to the door and thanked him for coming. That night, both the Queen and her shy guard lay awake, thinking about the evening. For Syra, it was the first time she wished the night could have lasted longer. But they did not know that their growing friendship was being closely watched by others. Queen Syra woke up the next day feeling light and happy, but she was not aware of the silent storm brewing around her. The grand celebration had been a success, but it also left people talking. All around the embassy and her spaceship, whispers began to spread. Why had the proud queen spent so much time with a simple human guard? What did she see in him? Her top advisor, Lord Tevin, was the first to raise the issue. He waited until they were alone in her private office before speaking. "Your Majesty, some of the nobles are concerned," he said carefully. "They believe your friendship with this human, Eli, may damage your reputation. They fear that the other planets may see you as weak." Queen Syra looked at her advisor for a long moment. She respected Lord Tevin, but she did not like being told how to behave. "I am not weak," she said quietly but firmly. "And Eli is not just any human. He is thoughtful, brave, and honest. We could learn much from him." Lord Tevin bowed and said no more, but his eyes were full of worry. At the same time, Eli also felt the change. When he reported for duty, the other guards teased him. "So, Eli, are you the queen's favorite now?" One of them joked. Others asked if he was going to marry her, laughing loudly. Eli's face turned red, but he just shook his head and said nothing. Later, his supervisor called him in. "Eli, you've done nothing wrong," she said kindly, "but some people are starting to talk. The diplomats are curious, and the news media wants to know why the queen spends time with a guard. Try to be careful, okay?" Eli nodded. He felt uncomfortable with all the attention. He never wanted to be in the spotlight. He was just doing his job. That evening, Queen Syra asked Eli to meet her in the spaceship garden, a peaceful place full of glowing alien flowers. She seemed quiet and thoughtful. "They are talking about us," Syra said softly, looking at a blue flower. "My own people worry that I am making a mistake." Eli felt nervous, but he answered honestly, "I understand, Your Majesty. Maybe I should stay away. I don't want to cause trouble." Syra shook her head. "No, I am not afraid of trouble. I only want you to be honest with me, as you always are." There was a comfortable silence as they walked between the glowing plants. Syra shared a story about her childhood, and Eli told her how he always liked quiet places where he could think. Though they both faced warnings and whispers, neither wanted to end their new friendship. If anything, the danger made it stronger. They both realized they trusted each other more than anyone else. But they did not know that their honest words and quiet walks were no longer a secret. And soon, their friendship would be tested in a way they never expected. Days passed quietly, but Queen Syra and Eli found more moments to meet in secret. The spaceship garden became their favorite place, a calm world of glowing flowers and soft air. Here, away from the eyes of the court, they could speak honestly. One evening, the sky outside was deep purple, and the stars shone brightly. Eli was nervous but happy when Syra invited him to sit beside her on a smooth stone bench. "I want to ask you something," Syra said softly, looking at the stars. "What do you think of my world?" "Caluria." Eli thought carefully. "It's beautiful and strange. I don't understand everything, but I admire how your people value knowledge and strength. Sometimes I wish humans could be like that." Syra smiled, surprised. "And what do you think of humans? Your people?" Eli looked down for a moment, then met her eyes. "We are not perfect. We make many mistakes, but we care deeply about each other. Sometimes I think that is more important than strength or power." The queen nodded. "Your honesty is rare. On Caluria, many hide their true feelings behind words and rules. You make me want to be different." Eli looked at her, feeling bold. "I never expected to meet a queen who would listen like this. You are not like I thought, proud and cold. You are kind and thoughtful." Syra's cheeks colored faintly. "And you are not just a shy guard. You have courage I admire." For a moment, silence held them close. The glowing flowers seemed to shine brighter around them. Suddenly, Syra spoke again. "Eli, I am afraid that my people will never accept us." Eli reached out gently and touched her hand. "We don't have to worry about them now. What matters is what we choose." Her eyes softened, and she squeezed his hand. "You have changed me, Eli, more than I thought possible." They sat together, sharing quiet smiles and gentle words. The night felt full of hope, but neither of them knew that someone had been watching from a hidden corner. A shadow slipped away quickly, carrying secrets back to the queen's advisors. The simple moments of trust between an alien queen and a shy human guard were about to become the spark that changed everything, for better or worse. The next morning, the quiet peace between Queen Syra and Eli was broken. News of their private conversation had spread quickly. The recording from the hidden corner had leaked to the media. Now, everyone knew about their secret meeting and the gentle words they had shared. Galaxies away, in the Calurian court, nobles gathered in shock. Many whispered that the queen had made a terrible mistake. A human guard. How could she waste her time with someone so lowly? They said angrily. Back on Earth, reporters bombarded the embassy with questions. Cameras flashed, and loud voices asked, "Why is the Queen spending time with a guard? Is there a special relationship?" Eli found himself in the center of the storm. When he came to work, some guards avoided him. Others stared, unsure what to say. His supervisor called him quietly into an office. "We support you, Eli," she said kindly, "but you should be careful. The media will not stop, and the Queen's advisors want her to end this, whatever it is." Eli nodded, feeling both proud and scared. He had never wanted attention. All he wanted was to protect the Queen and do his job. Meanwhile, Queen Cyrus sat in her private chamber, staring at the message from her advisors. They told her to end the relationship with Eli and focus on the mission. "If you don't, you risk your throne," one message warned. Zira felt anger and confusion. She had never been told what to do like this. She had always been the strongest ruler in the galaxy. Now she faced a choice. The Queen called for Eli. When he arrived, she looked at him with a steady gaze. "They want me to end this, to forget you." Eli's heart sank, but he stayed calm. "Your Majesty, I don't want to cause trouble. I will follow your wishes." Zira shook her head. "No, you have shown me a new way to see the universe. I will not let fear decide my life." Together, they made a silent promise to face whatever came next, side by side. But the scandal did not stop. Social media exploded with messages both for and against the Queen and Eli. Some praised their courage, others insulted them harshly. Even humans debated fiercely. Some thought the Queen was too proud. Others believed this friendship could change the future. The pressure was heavy, but the Queen and the Guard found strength in their honesty and respect. Their story was no longer private. It had become a symbol of hope for many. And as the galaxy watched closely, Queen Tyra and Eli prepared for a future neither could predict. The day after the scandal broke, the pressure on Queen Tyra was greater than ever. The Kalurian court was filled with whispers and angry voices. Many nobles demanded she cut all ties with Eli immediately. They said a queen should never show weakness by spending time with a human, especially a simple guard. But Sarah was different now. She had seen something special in Eli, something no one else understood. She decided it was time to make a bold choice. The next morning, a grand meeting was called at the Kalurian embassy on Earth. Leaders from many planets gathered to discuss the growing tension between the Kalurian Empire and Earth. The room buzzed with questions and doubts about the Queen's actions. When Queen Tyra entered, all eyes turned to her. She wore her royal robes with pride, her face calm but determined. Eli stood quietly behind her, his usual shy self, but ready to support her. As the meeting began, some voices called for the Queen to explain herself. The room grew tense. Finally, Zyra stood and spoke, her voice clear and strong. "I will not hide my friendship with Eli. He is honest, brave, and wise beyond his years. Our connection shows that understanding between different worlds is possible." Gasps and murmurs filled the room. Some leaders looked shocked, others skeptical. Eli stepped forward too, surprising everyone. With a steady voice, he said, "I am honored to stand beside the Queen. I have learned much from her, and I hope to learn more. Together, we can build a future where all planets work as one." The bold words from a shy human guard moved many. Some delegates nodded slowly, while others whispered among themselves. Zyra looked around the room. "Our differences do not divide us. They make us stronger. It is time to change old ways and open our hearts to new friendships." The meeting ended with mixed feelings. Some were inspired, others uncertain. But no one could ignore the Queen's courage. Back at the embassy, news of the Queen's speech spread quickly. Many praised her bravery and honesty. Messages of support came from unexpected places, even from distant planets. Eli smiled softly when he heard the news. For the first time, he felt proud not just as a guard, but as someone who mattered. Queen Syra and Eli knew their journey would still be hard. There would be challenges and more voices against them. But standing together in public, they had taken the first step toward a new future. And the galaxy watched closely, wondering what would happen next. After Queen Syra's brave speech, the mood in the galaxy slowly began to change. The story of the Queen and the shy human guard, Eli, reached far beyond Earth and Caluria. Many beings started to see a new possibility, that different worlds could come together in friendship. Back on Earth, the embassy became a busy place full of activity. Artists from both planets shared their work. Scientists began talking about new ideas for space travel. Even children from Earth and Caluria sent letters and drawings, hoping to meet their new heroes. Queen Syra spent her days working closely with Eli. She listened to his thoughts on Earth's cultures and shared stories of her own people. They planned joint projects to help both worlds learn and grow. Eli grew more confident each day. He was no longer just a quiet guard. Now, he was a bridge between two very different planets. His gentle voice was heard in meetings, and his honest ideas impressed many. Not everyone accepted this change easily. Some Calurian nobles still whispered against the Queen and Eli, but more voices spoke in favor of peace and cooperation. Slowly, walls built by years of fear and pride began to come down. One afternoon, Syra and Eli stood together in front of a crowd gathered in a large hall on Earth. They were there to announce a new council, made up of people from different planets, working together to solve problems and share knowledge. This council is a sign of hope, Syra told the crowd. It shows that we can learn from each other and grow stronger together. Eli smiled as he added, I am proud to be part of this new beginning. We are all different, but those differences make us better. The audience cheered, and many faces glowed with hope. It was a moment no one would forget. That night, as the stars shone brightly above, Syra and Eli looked up together. They knew the road ahead would still have challenges, but they also believed in a future where humans and Calurians could stand side by side. Their friendship had sparked something greater, a chance to unite worlds.